Last week I did a video with my friend Peter Rukavina, and we were talking about his favorite pens. And afterwards, I borrowed a couple pens off him to look at it in a little bit more depth and do some introductions to, maybe reviews. I don't really do reviews, but anyway, I just thought I'd take a look at them. And one of the pens that he showed me was this rather interesting little pen called a Nemosine. Uh, I guess this company no longer exists. It started up a number of years ago, and they made the pen parts were made in Asia, probably China. The nib was German, and then all the parts were assembled in the United States. I was looking online for some information. It seemed to have some of the people involved went on to do other things, and I believe they have a relationship or are working with the Birmingham Pen Company, which I'm not too familiar of. And so this is the Nemosine, and I'm just going to take a quick look at it. It's a clear plastic pen. I believe it's injection molded, and it's very smooth. There's no seams that I can see or anything like that. Um, it's lightweight. It's a demonstrator. It has a clear cap. When I look into the cap, I don't see any liner up here. Quite often you'll see an inner cap liner, but I don't offhand see one, even though there is a seam there. But that's just a part of the plastic molding. So I wonder how long it stays wet, before it starts to dry out. But it seems to get a good seal here, so maybe it stays wet for a long time. I haven't tried this pen yet. It's a cartridge converter filler, and I'm going to fill it up with some Diamine Honeyburst and see how it writes. Mostly I just want to see how it writes. It apparently has a German nib. I don't know if it's a Yowo or a Bach or a Schmidt, but probably Yowo. Let's see how it goes. If I can get a fill. I'm not going to put too much ink in it. It's not my pen. So I'm putting Honeyburst in it. Wipe that off. I quite like Honeyburst. I have it in a couple pens, and it's a lovely sort of yellowish ochre color, inspired by guitar finishes, of course. Les Paul guitar finishes. So it's a good sized pen. It has a nice grip section here. There's threads here. You don't really feel them. Actually, when I feel it, the grip section sort of dips down, and you're almost instinctively gripping it close to the nib. I tend to move back a bit, actually, myself. But even then, the threads don't seem to be a bother. It posts nicely and securely. I like that about a pen. It's a screw cap. I prefer I prefer pull caps myself, but that's all right. So we're going to just give it a little writing sample. The quick brown fox. Quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. First impressions, it seems like a fairly dry pen. It's relatively smooth. A bit of drag to it, but it's a nice pen altogether. Probably, a different ink would actually be. It might change the pen quite a bit. If I was to put, say, a diamond Oxford blue or something in it, which I quite like on a lot of pens. It might make it feel a little wetter and smoother. There's no line variation. It's a very stiff nib. Doesn't seem to, the feed seems to hold up fairly well. I would say it's probably a fine nib. At first I thought it was a medium, but it seems like a fine. Yeah, all in all, it's an interesting pen. No longer made, but it's just an interesting little artifact. Nemosine, or Nemosine. Where I am, people would probably call it Nemosine, with our funny accent, mixture of Irish and whatever it is. But yeah, it's a nice little pen, solid clip. I like the black finish on it. There's a little bit of decoration on the nib. It looks like a butterfly of some kind. All in all, fine pen. But I can see also why the company no longer exists, because there's quite a few pens competing in this design and probably price range. TWSBI, when I look at this pen, I somehow think of TWSBI in some ways as a competitor. TWSBI would be a hard company for a small business like this to compete with, I think, because of the different filling systems and finishes and models that they bring out. Size-wise, it's a little smaller than the TWSBI. TWSBI, of course, holds a lot more ink. The body of the TWSBI is thicker. This is a relatively small pen. The barrel isn't particularly girthy. It's has a nice big nib in it. It looks like a number 6 or so. And in some ways, when I look at it personally, I almost think the nib is slightly out of proportion with the body of the pen. But when you post it, it seems fine aesthetically. So yeah, that's the Nemosine. I'm not too sure what model this is. I'll look it up and put it on the description. And anyway, I hope you like this little video. I just been sort of rooting around in other people's pen collections and finding interesting things that I would like to try and look at. And this is one of my friend Peter's pens, and I don't know if he uses it as much. He has other pens that I think that he likes a lot more, but he had some interesting things in there, and he was just showing them to me. I have the same interests in inexpensive pens at times, because, with the hobby, I like to try different inks, and so it's nice to have some pens that are, not worth a fortune, so I can put different inks in them and try them out. But and they do make some really nice inexpensive pens these days. So anyway, thank you. I hope you liked the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, and if you're new around here, I'd love it if you subscribe. And I'll be looking at other pens down the road, new, vintage, new new pens that are no longer made, and things like that. So anyway, hope you have a good day. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.